Hello, I'm Vernon, aka The Profitable Punter, and welcome to this series of videos available to all via YouTube and the blog, in which I'm going to try and pass on to you, free of charge, the benefit of my experience of 15 years of profitable punting on a regular basis. That's on sports such as horse racing and football. I want to guide you by the hand, okay, and show you what works for me. And who knows, it may just well work for you and help you learn how to make an annual profit, as I have done for 15 years, betting on horse racing and football, and occasionally tennis and golf and one or two other sports. I'm going to, over the course of the series of videos, give you some do's and don'ts, some tips about tips, the right ways and the wrong ways of going about punting on sport, and reviewing some of the common mistakes made by punters, old and new. We all make mistakes punting, whether you've been in the game for a day or several years. And everybody wins and everybody loses, okay? That's the other thing to remember. You will read online, you'll see online people saying that, you know, they never back a loser, that there's a sure thing running in the 235 of Wolverhampton, like there ever is a sure thing running at Wolverhampton, or that you cannot lose on this system, that system. Everybody's got a system. I don't claim to have a system. I am not a high rolling punter. Let's get that straight from the word go. I bet with moderate stakes and always have done, and I'm quite happy doing that. So I'm not a grand in the hand merchant, but most of us aren't. Very few of us are in the position to be that, even if we wanted to be, and I don't want to be. I'm quite happy, having made an annual profit year on year for 15 years. Very happy with my profit, my income. Thank you very much. And via this course of videos, I'm going to try and show you the ways of perhaps joining me on that path to profitable punting. So let me start with a question I and many other punters are often asked. In the early days of punting on sport, I used to be baffled as to why I was so good at picking a winner. How more often than not the horses I picked delivered a nice return. And I didn't know myself. I've never sat on a horse, so I can't claim to be an expert jockey or anything like that. So I went to Ireland and I spoke to my living uncle at the time and asked him how come I had a hunch, I was good at having a hunch or good instinct for picking a winner at the horses. A good knack, if you like. And it was a revelation, really. My uncle Michael told me at the time that my late father, him, his brothers, my grandfather, who was master of the hunt just outside Dublin, they grew up surrounded by horses, by point-to-point racing, by all things equine. And so Michael wasn't surprised that I had a knack for picking a winner at the races. He did. His father did before him. He said my father was good at it, which I didn't even know. So I guess that even though I'm a plastic paddy, through my Irish background, there is clearly, that's been passed on, the knack for picking a winner. Now this may sound obvious, but believe me, some people make this mistake. The obvious point is to only bet on sports that you have an interest in, a passion for, perhaps, know about, care about. Don't bet on two flies crawling up a wall. Don't bet on two tennis players playing a part of world you've never heard of. Tennis players you've never heard of, with lots of O's and V's and Z's in their name, simply because you can. Don't bet on pro celebrity tiddlywinks in some far off part of the world that you've never heard of. Bet on what you know about, okay? It sounds a statement of the obvious, but you'll be amazed how many people out there lose money betting on sport about which they know nothing and care even less. That's what bookies want you to do. Why do you think bookies are offering now odds on all manner of weird and wonderful events, sporting events around the world? They want to tempt you in to bet on something you know nothing about. Don't do it. This is one of my first. Don't do it. My mission has always been simple. It's to give the bookie back as little of my winnings as possible. Okay? Again, that may sound obvious, but to some it is not obvious. Giving back the bookie as little of the profit made on a bet as possible is one of the central, crucial ingredients to being a profitable punter. Too often people win on an event, a football game perhaps, a horse race. The money is in their online account, staring out at them, saying, spend me, spend me. Don't do it. Don't do it. The bookie wants you to keep that balance in your account. The bookie wants you to keep all your winnings in that account for as long as possible, because they know that sooner or later, very often sooner, they'll snatch that money back off you, because you'll be tempted to bet on something that previously you never thought about betting on. A bookie, a wise man, Graham Sharp of Hills, told me once in a video interview, for some people a bet a week is enough, a bet a month is enough. It's about finding when the odds are in your favour, potentially in your favour, and not the bookie's favour. It's about waiting. But I'll talk more about that in another video. Patience being another crucial characteristic of the profitable punter. There's no shame in being on each way at 4-1 or 9-2 or whatever. If you just want to test yourself out, that's how I began. I began by dipping my toe in the water with very small stakes, trying my luck on win bets, but predominantly on each way, and betting each way at 4-1, because I was happy, and still am, when the horse wins, and I'm still happy with my winnings. But if beaten into second or third, I'm happy to have my money still in my pocket. So these days, my tactic is usually, my way of operating is usually that if I'm not, 95% convinced about a selection who might be priced at 11-2, 6-1, 7-1, I'll be on each way, and I don't mind doing that. Now obviously, others, including one or two members of my selection service who will only bet to win, if that horse wins, they're going to win more, have more in their account than me, who's bet on the same horse on the same event each way. But we're all happy, aren't we? The members got winnings, I've got winnings. I'm in profit, they're in profit, everybody's happy. If that horse falls just short and fails to win, I've got my stake back, and depending on the odds, a little profit. Whereas the other person has lost their stake forevermore. The bookie's got their hands on it, their grubby little hands on it, and it's gone. Okay, so that's one way that I operate by, and try to make sure that over the year, and the year is what I base my success rate or otherwise on, I give as little back to the bookie as possible. And that particular way of operating has worked out just fine for the last 15 years, thank you very much. Because there's nothing worse than seeing a horse of yours that you bet on just get pipped at the post by a nose or a short head, or some unforeseen circumstance happen, the jockey drops his whip on the run-in and gets overtaken, all that sort of weird and wonderful things that can happen in the life of a punter when you're betting on horse racing. So when it comes to the horse racing, like most recently there was a horse racing, a French filly called Giofra, running at 10-1 in a very competitive race. I was on that each way at 10-1, very happy with my winnings when it won, thank you very much. So that's the way I go about it. You must find a way that works for you, and I would certainly recommend that if you're starting out, if you're a newcomer or a newbie to punting on the horses, to try that. If a horse is priced at 4-1 or above and you fancy it and you're betting, small stakes or big, but don't forget the old maxim, only bet with sums you can afford to lose. Bet each way, and if it wins, you've won. And build up from there. Just build up gradually your confidence, your knowledge of what works for you, your knowledge of which trainers deliver the goods for you, which tracks, and that's another thing. We all have our lucky and our unlucky courses. Courses we know we do well at for reasons completely beyond explanation, and courses that are just our nemesis. I know which ones, after all these years, I try to avoid like the plague. It's all about that. When you're starting out punting, when you're in the early days of punting, you should be betting with small stakes because you're learning about what works for you. That's what I did. And then you grow in confidence. You have your bad days, you have your good days. And another lesson to learn and have up here, and I'll be talking later in another video about the psyche of the punter, what you need up here to not just be a profitable punter, but to be a sane one. But you'll learn what works for you, and then you can build up your confidence, and soon you'll be finding yourself winning more and giving the bookie back less. And that's what we want to do, is it not? They've got enough money, they don't need ours. A common mistake punters make, particularly online punters, is to have a win and then find a way of throwing that money away. Big mistake. I was talking to a serious punter, a friend, recently, who's been around the circuit and then some, who doesn't bet often, but bets big and wins big. And he remarked about me that how rare I am, which I didn't realise, in quite simply making a profit, winning a bet, and banking the profit. Certainly the majority of it, and how rare I was, apparently, in being able to have a win, be satisfied with that win, and then walk away for the day. And I've done that many, many times, not being tempted to see that money in the online account and spend it. Very often, if the first race of the day wins at a good price and I've won a good profit, that's it. Even though there are others in the day that I fancy, I will just walk away. In part 2 of this series of short videos, which I hope will enlighten you and guide you on a road to profitable punting, I'll be looking at more do's and don'ts. The right way to do things, the wrong way to do things when it comes to punting on sport. The methods that have helped me over the years make an annual profit from punting on horse racing and football, and trying to guide you away from the mistakes made by too many punters. So I'll be back with more. I hope you enjoy this series. Don't forget the blog is www.wordofsport.blogspot.com. So that's updated quite consistently with interviews with people from Word of Sport, with features by myself, my news, views and opinions on the issues in sport, and crucially, www.wordofsport.blogspot.com is a place where you can join the happy band of members, subscribers to my selection service for £10 a month. That's all. £10 a month gets you selections on the day's horse racing and, of course, during the season, the football, 5 to 6 days of the week for £10 a month, and you get a lot more than that. You get exclusive interviews with the likes of Tony McCoy, amongst others, and video diaries from me, like this, exclusive video diaries to members, talking about specific events, looking back at our winners, and back at our losers from time to time, because we all have them, Don't believe anybody out there who tells you they don't have a loser, because they do. So there's a lot more than just tips that the members get for £10 a month. So if you want to join, go to the blog and click on the PayPal button. You don't have to have a PayPal account. As such, you can use cards via there and all manner of ways of paying. It's £10 a month, that's all. And you get a daily email, a personalised daily email. You don't have to log into any account and any website or anything like that. I email it directly to you 5 to 6 days of the week, well in advance of the racing or the football. So join us, come join us, and I'll be back soon on here, on YouTube and on the blog with another piece of advice re the art of profitable punting. See you soon.